The Shanghai tunnels are a series of tunnels underneath Portland, Oregon. Now, they go back to the 1800s when they were actually built and used to Shanghai people. Now, a lot of creepy stories have came out of the Shanghai tunnels. This is one of them. Now, there was this man named Sean. Sean grew up in Portland, Oregon, and he worked downtown. And one day when he was going to work, he ran into this homeless man named Eli. And he felt really bad for him, so he gave him $10. Well, he continued to see Eli, and they ended up becoming friends, and he would constantly give him money like here and there. Well, one day he was downtown and he runs into Eli, and he gives him a couple bucks, and they start talking. And he asks Eli, like, hey, have you ever heard of the Shanghai tunnels? And when he asked Eli that, Eli just kind of like tensed up and started shaking and was like visibly scared. And he's like, yeah, I know about the tunnels, but I don't like to talk about it. I had a friend who went down there, and he said he encountered something and he seen something down there. And after that, he was just not the same anymore. And Sean was like, but I thought they blocked the tunnels off and you couldn't go down there. And Eli's like, there's a spot over here, on this one street. And like, I know a secret entrance and how to get to these tunnels, but I will not go near there. So a couple more times he runs into Eli, and he decides to ask him, hey, if I give you $100, would you take me down to the tunnels? And Eli's like, no, man, I will not do it. Like, I won't go anywhere near there. So a couple weeks later, he's downtown, and it's late at night. He bumps into Eli again. And Eli's like, hey, man, do you got that $100 and I'll take you to the tunnels because I really need the money? And he's like, okay, yeah, like, here's the money. Like, show me the tunnels. So he takes him a couple blocks and he takes him behind this building. And there was sort of this dark doorway. And he said above the doorway was this graffiti that said, no return. And he said that just kind of freaked him out because it was like they were going into somewhere where there was no return. And they then began walking down these dark set of stairs. And they found themselves in this maze of tunnels. So they make their way down all of these different corridors. As they're walking down this one particular tunnel, they start hearing crying. And they're like, where's that coming from? Like, what is making that sound? And it then began to sound like someone was just literally like wailing. And that's when they shined their flashlight and they stumbled upon like a hole in the concrete, and it led into a room. So they walked into this room and they started to look around with their flashlight, when over in the corner, they see this black looking wolf dog type creature, and it's growling at them. So they take off running. They're terrified. Sean couldn't keep up with Eli, and he ends up getting lost in one of the tunnels. So he begins just walking around in the dark, like, Eli, like, where are you, man? Like, I'm scared. Like, where are you? And that's when he hears something, like a footsteps moving in the dark. So he shines his light directly in front of him, and he said he sees this woman hunched over, and she's bawling. She's crying. And he's like, ma'am, are you okay? She doesn't say anything. He takes a couple steps closer. Ma'am, are you all right? And he said, all of a sudden, this woman stood up, turned around, and she had no face. And this terrified him, so he took off running again, and he's like screaming and stuff. Eventually, he thinks he sees the shadow of his friend Eli. So he's like, Eli, man, like, come on, let's get out of here. Like, I'm terrified. Come on, let's go. And he said the shadow walked into like one of these chambers along the tunnel. So he walks over to this chamber, and he goes in, and he's like yelling for Eli. He looks around. There's no one in this chamber or room. And he said that's when all of a sudden he felt a cold breath breathing on his neck. And he knew there was someone standing behind him. He slowly turns around, and he said standing there was what looked like this 1800s miner wearing some kind of lantern on his head, and he had a noose around his neck. And he just took off running as fast as he can. And eventually he did find his way out of these tunnels, and he was just like terrified. Well, a couple days later, he runs into Eli on the streets, and he's like, "Yo, man, are you okay? Like, what happened that night? Did you see anything else?" And Eli's like, "What are you talking about, dude? Like, what's going on?" And he's like, "The other day when we went to the tunnels." He's like, "The tunnels? What are you talking about? I don't go to the tunnels." And he's like, "No, we went down in the tunnels together, and we seen that like wolf thing." And he's like, "You must be losing it, man, because I did not go down in the tunnels with you."